Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Obsidian Mirror, where we pause a moment to reflect. I'm going to give you a squeaky chair warning. I hope that you're having a good time, whatever time it is for you. And today I'm going to do a stratified deck reading where we separate a situation into layers to get a look at specific facets of an experience. While I shuffle the cards, it may be a good time to locate a drink or snack of choice, or a comfort item. Perhaps there is something that the body wants. Maybe that is a little bit of exercise. I invite you to do a body scan, connect with self, and see if there are any needs that arise. I would like to let you know that I am very grateful that you're here with me. And that I am grateful for the engagement that I've gotten so far on this channel. I've gotten some likes and some subscribers, which is very exciting for me. I've gotten a couple of comments as well, and that lets me know that there is some value in what I'm sharing with you. So if you feel inclined to do so, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, or share this video. I know that my process is a little bit unusual, and that I am probably not the only person who does tarot this way. I'm feeling quiet right now, or restive, so this may be a quieter video. And for anyone who's curious about this specific spread, it is one of the spreads I developed specifically for this channel. And I am separating this deck, this tarot deck, into the major arcana, the minor arcana, and the court cards. I'm sorry about any environmental noise you may be hearing. I do not have a lot of control over my environment right now, but that's okay. I'm doing the best with what I have. And this here is the Shadow Seer Tarot. I am a fan of shadow work and getting into the nitty-gritty. I like doing the introspective work, slowing down, taking stock. It may not be an experience that feels fun, but I think it is very worth it. And I'm glad that I get to share this with you. I'm gonna make sure that you can see all the cards because I am recording on my phone. Okay, we do have an adequate visual, so I'm satisfied there. And before I get into the interpretation, I'm going to take a few deep breaths, and I invite you to breathe with me, starting now. Now, for the pattern or force, we have the Hermit card. I would say it's one of my favorite cards, but I have a lot of those, so it may not be my penultimate favorite, but it's up there. And so the Hermit is a time of turning inward, reflecting, reviewing, and uncovering inner aspects of self. I think that it is a beautiful process, but it can also be a very lonely one. It can feel isolating or alienating. I think there's a lot of potential when it comes to reflection, which is really the whole point of this channel, is to turn within and see what can be found. I think that there is the potential for misunderstanding during this time, particularly from others, and especially by those who have not done a lot of introspective work or have not reached for their shadows so that they can understand themselves better. I think that this process is worth protecting and taking whatever time it takes. I'm going to move on to the lived experience, the Minor Arcana card, and it is the Seven of Swords in reverse. The Seven of Swords is a restive card, a restorative potential. And in this image, we see a fox curled up on a sword with one eye open, wary, perhaps even hypervigilant. It makes me think of being on one's guard, perhaps a lack of literal or felt safety. Active rest, maybe. It could be the body demanding full rest when we are unable to rest fully. And I wonder if there is some opportunity somewhere to get full rest. Or perhaps the rest we are doing is for an introspective reason. So the time we take for ourselves is an active exploration of our internal state. I'm going to move on to the identity and response as seen here in the Mother of Cups in reverse. The Mother of Cups is quite emotionally intelligent, very aware of the many facets of individual and community and how those things play off of each other or interact. This is a card of nurturing and protection. Inverted like this, it can be a twisting of those themes. A nurturer that we need protection from. Perhaps somebody who is nurturing to the point of claustrophobia. Gives me the sense of like a helicopter parent, someone who values control over freedom, perhaps not instead of freedom, but more control than freedom. Someone who struggles with the concept of autonomy. Someone who perhaps weaponizes therapeutic language or technique. This could, in an extreme sense, be felt as toxicity. There could be attempts to mold another, or perhaps being quite harsh, being very critical, lacking in forgiveness, in allowing for mistakes, perhaps emotional exactitude or emotional distance, perhaps even being cold. In terms of the shadow aspect that could be experienced right now, we have the King of Cups, otherwise known as the Diva, in this deck. And this is the expression, the outward expression of the same kind of emotional intelligence that I was just speaking about. When it comes to gender, I don't think in terms of bodies or identity. I think in terms of expression, how the energy is being expressed. So when it comes to the feminine expression, that is something that is more internal, felt, and received. But when it comes to the masculine expression, this is shown, communicated, and acted on. So the flow has a different direction, inward or outward. So the King of Cups has that same ability or capability or opportunity for expressing emotional intelligence. Someone who understands the emotional world in a way that is obvious. Someone who can communicate in the language that is needed at the time. In terms of the shadow aspect of this archetype, the diva, there's a little bit of self-obsession, self-absorption, of not making enough space or opportunity for others to express themselves or their stories or their experiences. This could be someone who has the desire to get more attention. It could be a need for external validation in some way, needing to be seen, needing to be heard. There is something there that is asking for more and feels unmet. There could be an aspect of theatricality to it. Someone who exaggerates, maybe, puts on a show or a performance, who takes more time than others to express themselves, who needs more feedback, who can't stop trying for some reason. Now, if I were to synthesize this entire spread, I think it would be speaking about the need for balance when it comes to an emotional experience and how we share that with others. Perhaps this is an invitation to turn inward in a gentle way, to understand the self in different ways, of looking at our actions and our emotional responses with less criticism, less harshness, to forgive ourselves more and to give ourselves more grace. I think that if there is a felt need for external input of some kind, Perhaps we want everybody's perspective. Perhaps we want more validation. Perhaps we want a specific reaction. I think that there may be underneath that a need that is not being met, and that perhaps external validation can help in some ways, but it can hinder in some other ways. That perhaps self-validation is something that we can practice, we can learn, we can develop. Perhaps we need to learn how to nurture our emotional world differently so that we don't keep reaching outside of ourselves and taxing the other people in our lives so as not to be a diva or drama queen. And I'm not saying that this is intentional. It could be a temporary mode of relating. This spread also makes me wonder how our needs are being perceived by others. Perhaps we are so wrapped up in our own emotional experience that we don't have the ability to meet others where they are, and we just keep asking them to meet us where we are. I wonder how productive that is. I wonder if there is a discrepancy there. If we are being fair, if we are being self-absorbed, if we are ignoring the needs of others, because we are also ignoring the needs of ourselves. I think that this spread is an invitation to get to the root of it, whatever it is, to peel back the layers, the expression, the need, the symptom, and to try and get to the very, very bottom of it, the deep, dark depths. And that can be a distressful place to go. So if this is something that you relate to and perhaps feel inclined to do, I think that introspective work is quite valuable. I think that shadow work is quite valuable. And I think that there are a lot of opportunities to get to know the self, to redefine the self, and to learn a different way to express ourselves. There are a lot of resources on the internet for these types of work. Perhaps learning more about psychology, epigenetics, shadow work prompts that we can use for artistic or creative pursuits, perhaps even journaling. Maybe we want to bring this up with a professional like a therapist, somebody who can meet us where we are and will not be disserviced in this process, will not feel ignored or put aside, so that we can go through this in the ways that we feel we need to. And I think that there are a lot of coping skills too that can be utilized. Coping skills is a vast subject, which I have some experience with. Yeah, if anybody here is curious about how I might approach working with this spread in my daily life moving forward, I have a lot of ideas, and I gave you some already, but I invite you to do whatever it is you need to do at this time to get to know yourself better or differently in whatever avenue is accessible to you. And to keep in mind that while we might have an intense or overwhelming emotional experience, we are not the only ones who go through stuff. Other people have their own overwhelming experiences too. And it may or may not help to know this, but we are not alone. If you're watching this video, you have me, at least on an energetic level. You have the other people in the growing community of this channel. And a phrase that comes to mind is, there is nothing new under the sun. If you feel like you're going through something that no one in your community can understand or has gone through, maybe look in other places. Somebody out there knows what it's like. This could be an invitation to seek like-minded community online or in person. I recently met someone who finds a lot of value in AA meetings that may or may not be relevant to whatever it is you're going through. It could be finding a community on Reddit, at a coffee shop, maybe going around to your local coffee shops and looking at their community posting boards. Could help you find a new avenue for expression and exploration. I think that there are a lot of possibilities here. And I just want to gently remind you that the work is worth it. The work, getting to know oneself, is worth it. It's not always comfortable, but it is worth it. I think I'm going to end the reading here. If you would like to take another deep breath with me, you are welcome. Maybe I'll see you again on the Obsidian Mirror.